Hi, mamas, and welcome to another episode of Moms with Moms. Moms offering mom support with moms on microphones. Before we get started, I am super excited. I bought a new mic. I decided to invest in a high quality mic, $13, very high quality, guys, because I had my last session with Danielle and I loved her mic. So hopefully the sound quality sounds great. And if it's better, let me know. I also have a new video camera. So let me know if you guys like the quality of both of these and if we should keep them or if we should delete them. So now that I'm done talking about what I got, I have Samantha with me today. She's a friend of Jordan's who is on a couple of episodes. I think it was episode 5 where we talked about the holidays. And Samantha actually was talking on our post and said that she'd be interested. And when we were talking, we decided that it would be best to talk about postpartum. I don't think we've really had any episodes where we talked about postpartum yet. Samantha, what are 3 things you think that our listeners should know about you?
So I am a first-time mom. I have a 9-month-old daughter. I was a teacher until this past summer. I taught third grade at a private school, and then this past summer I decided to be a stay-at-home mom this year and stay with my daughter. And also I am working on my master's. I'm a grad student now, right now too.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Did you start going to get your master's when you had the baby, or were you going to get your master's before the baby?
I started after she was born.
Do you find it easier, and do you think that you're more ambitious now than if you were to start it before she was born?
I think so. I had graduated with my undergrad in 2020, and I kind of just like didn't have the ambition to start grad school right away. And after I had her, I was like, I need to do this. I need to get this done.
And do you miss teaching?
I do. I subbed a few times this year and I just like got so excited seeing the kids again and just being in the classroom. But I also, the whole drive there and the whole drive home, I'm like, I miss her so much. And on my breaks, FaceTiming her, that I'm like, I know I made the right decision being home with her this year and like seeing all those milestones. So I do, but I am happy where I am too.
I think that the subbing probably helps because you get your little piece of getting your fix of like being the teacher and going to work, and then you're like, okay, yep, I had my piece now, I'm good to go.
Yeah, it definitely does.
What's your daughter's name?
Savannah.
Stop, my best friend's name is Savannah. That's a
Really?
great name. Yeah.
I wanted that name forever.
Is there any like story behind it or you just like it?
No, I just literally always loved that name. And like as soon as we got pregnant, I was like, if it's a girl, it's Savannah. Like, no question. I like found out at a doctor's appointment, they were like, oh, you know that you're what you're having, right? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, the blood work came back like weeks ago. Do you want to know? And I was like, yeah, but don't tell me, like put it in an envelope because my husband wasn't there. Like I wasn't expecting to find out that day. So they put it
Yeah.
in an envelope and we like brought it home and we like opened it just quietly ourselves and found out it was a girl. And then we had a photo shoot scheduled to like do announcement
Oh,
photos. So we like popped a giant balloon with like pink confetti at our photo shoot and then we like shared the photos to announce like to family and friends that it was a girl.
yeah. That's really exciting. I like that. It's
Yeah.
cute.
It was like
It's,
nice doing it just the two of us too.
yeah. You had it intimate first for you guys, and then you were able to tell everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like doing
I like that. I have nothing against gender reveal parties. I think they're really great. I personally would not do them for myself because I like the intimacy about like, especially when it's your first, you're sharing that with your partner. Like you want to share those milestones together, not really with everybody else.
it.
We
Exactly.
love them, but like this is our thing now.
Yeah. I was like, I want to know first. I don't want to like have a gender keeper.
No. And they'll sit there and be like, I know what it is, and you don't.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy. Like, please just tell me. I won't tell anyone.
I'll act surprised, I promise.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about postpartum.
All right, let's do it.
What was the worst part of postpartum for you?
I think I thought I knew like exactly what to expect. Like we took a birthing class at the hospital. Like
Mm-hmm.
I knew people that were moms. I'm like, I know what to expect. I know what's going to happen. And then so many things happened that I was like, what? Like starting right from the hospital, like the emotions, you really cannot fathom the emotions
No,
you're gonna feel after birth. You think you like, oh, like, yeah, I'll be emotional. No, it is 100 times more than you could imagine. At least it
it's
was for me.
it's almost worse, I think, postpartum than it is pregnancy wise too.
I was like I didn't really cry like my entire pregnancy, but postpartum,
No,
like I cried for like 2 days after I gave birth. Like 2 days
it's
straight, I
it's
was just
not funny, but
I was just crying over everything.
what do you think was like the craziest thing that you cried over, like the funniest thing that you cried over?
So I gave birth on a Thursday morning, really early, and they had said we could stay 2 nights, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do as a first time mom. So we were supposed to be discharged Saturday morning. And after dinner Friday, they come in and they say there's no more beds in the hospital. And my husband's gonna have to go home and stay, and me and my baby are gonna share a room with another mom and baby. And it was like, obviously, that's a good reason to cry, right? Your plan just got messed
Well,
up.
yeah,
So I'm crying, and they're like, well, you can get discharged tonight. It's been over 24 hours. So I was like, okay, yeah, like that's what we're going to do. We're going to go home. And I was like so excited. We were going to bring our baby home. Like we were getting discharged that night. Like usually discharge
yep.
takes a while, people say. And ours was like within like 30 minutes, they had all the papers signed and we're like starting to get us packed up to leave because they needed the room so bad. Um, and I was like ready to go. We were packed up. I had my coat on, and then like the midwife came in and just like double checked that I had no questions. And I was like, no, I'm great. And then like as we were walking out, I'm hysterical crying, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm not ready. And I was like, what if something bad happens? And they're like, you got this. You're okay. And like I knew I was, but it was just like it's hilarious to look back on how emotional I was in that moment because I was completely fine. Like I was so excited to leave. And I just hit me.
My boyfriend Jimmy and I were talking about it, and I talked about it with a couple of people. It's like, okay, here's your baby, here you go, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, I'm not ready, but I am,
Yeah.
because you kind of have to be. But what makes you think that I'm ready to be a mom?
You know what to do, but you're like, well, what if something goes wrong? Or what if she won't latch or eat? Like, then what do I do?
Like, you guys have been here for me for 24 hours, 24/7, and now I have to go home and I have to do everything all by myself without having to be like, wait a minute, is it okay if I use this wipe? Is it okay if I put them in this? Is it okay if I lay on the couch and do this with them, type of thing? So
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. That's crazy. You were there for 2 days.
Yeah. I went in
Oh my,
Wednesday night at like 11:30. My labor was really, really quick. My water broke in bed. By the time I got there, I was 4 centimeters, 90%
holy
effaced.
cow.
I didn't even have contractions. I had no idea that I was in labor. I just went because my water broke. Um, by 2 o'clock, I was 7 centimeters, and before 7 o'clock, she was born and here at 7 in the morning on the next day.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so it was very quick, and then we went
Wow.
that Friday, like right after. So
Did you have any family or anybody that like came to visit you at the hospital or at home?
yeah, so that was the other thing that was like so hard postpartum. So my mom was there with my husband when I gave birth. And then I had my dad and his wife stopped by, and my grandparents stopped by at the hospital. That was it at the hospital. And then when I got home, that wasn't like part of the reason I didn't want to go home was because everyone was like, oh, let me know when you're home. Let me know when you're home. And I thought I'd be so excited for everyone to come see her, but I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is my baby. Like, I don't want you to touch her. I don't want her to get sick. I don't want to let go of her. I don't want to share her with anybody right now. Like, she's mine. And it was so hard because I knew people wanted to come see her, but I also like I wasn't ready
Yeah.
for to let go of her and share her. And I also like your body is nothing that you're used to. So it's like you're trying to get used to who you are and look like, and then you're trying to take care of this baby, and then people just want to pop in constantly, and it's like exhausting, but you also like I felt bad like saying no, but I like looking back at it now, I wish I had set those boundaries and been like,
Yeah.
I not yet, not yet, you know. Um, but yeah, that was hard. There was times where I would hand her off and I like wanted like my mom had already met her and held her and I was fine with her being here. And I would like give her to hold her and then like 5 minutes later I'm crying and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I just want her back." Like,
I think one thing that I'm really like thankful for is that I put boundaries in place before. I definitely pissed off some people, and I honestly I don't care because I had two friends who had babies before me, and I really like talked to them about it. And I sat down and I told my boyfriend and I said, no one's coming for the first 2 weeks. Nobody is allowed to come. The only people that are allowed to come are my mom, your mom, my dad, and my stepmom, and that's it. I don't think I'd be willing to like let go of my baby. I don't think I would be okay with like this is my brand new baby. You want to hold my baby? Like no, go clean my house if you
yeah,
need me.
there were I would be like, well, like I really need laundry done. Like then they'd be like, "Do you want me to hold the baby?" And it's like, I'm postpartum. I can't, my laundry's downstairs. I can't get up,
I
carry the laundry
can't do that.
downstairs and do the laundry. That's like I'd rather sit here and hold her if you want to help me with the laundry.
Well, it's I'm sure you've seen it because it's so popular now. It's all over social media. The post that says hold the mother, not the baby, and it's so true. Like you are so excited to see that baby, but you don't know the emotions that we're dealing with. You don't know that that baby only feels the comfort of us and our scent and the warmth of us.
Before I had her, like I would be that person who would be like, "Is there anything you need? Like, let me know when you're up for visitors." I mean, I didn't stop by as soon as they like had the baby, but I didn't understand like the to offer that help when they first come home, you know? And now that I
Mm-hmm.
know it, like if one of my friends has a baby, like I'm gonna drop off a meal. I'm gonna ask if she needs laundry done or if she needs to shower or if there's something in her house that needs to get cleaned up or if she needs a grocery store run because those are the
Yep.
things that just you don't think about offering to help with and it piles up. Like I remember our dishes being so high because we both were just
Yes.
like focused on parenting those first few weeks.
Those are the things that they need. Like they probably don't want you holding their child. And it's funny, as I mentioned, we didn't have anybody come. We weren't allowing anybody except like immediate come see us for 2 weeks. Once we said, hey, the 2 weeks is up. Whoever wants to come see us can come see us. I think one person reached
Wow.
out of all of my friends and all of my families. One person reached out and said, hey, let's plan a time for me to come and see the baby. And it's funny that that happened because I think if I allowed people to come the first week that he was born, we probably would have had nonstop visitors.
Yeah.
But afterwards, no one came. There's a lot of people. I'm sure my family watches this. There's a lot of people in my family who haven't seen him or haven't met him, and I don't have a closed door policy. Like I have an open door policy. You want to come see us, you want to come meet the baby, come to my house. Like come here, come to me. I don't know if you feel the same way. It's a lot to pack our kids up and bring them to another place that's your home. Just
Yeah.
come to us.
And
I'm
there's so
probably not going to say no.
like I feel like my daughter does a lot better like
Yeah.
seeing other people here than she does going other places because it's a new
Yep.
environment and a new person that she's adjusting to versus I'm in my environment. I just have to get used to this person and she just seems so much more comfortable with people in our home than other homes.
And I think you feel more comfortable. So I feel like that's they feel our feelings and stuff too. Is like we're more comfortable because we know where everything is. Whereas when you go to some places, somebody else's house, it's not that you don't have the things. It's just it's a lot easier when you're home.
Especially now, like my daughter's mobile now, and it's like she's crawling and pulling herself up to standing on everything. And it's like other people's houses aren't childproof, and I wouldn't expect them to be if they don't have a baby, you know? So it's easier here.
Yep.
Like I know I cleaned my floors recently and she'll be fine on the fly. No, there's nothing she can pull down in this room on
Yep.
herself and get into anything. Just makes it easy.
And I like what you said. You talked about the postpartum of right after the hospital and the emotions of like crying and overwhelmment. What else have you experienced?
So the weirdest thing for me was, first of all, I didn't know night sweats were a thing postpartum. I don't know if you had them, but it was so bad. I mean, I had my daughter in March, so like the heat's on in the house. It's winter, it's cold outside still, and I would wake up like drenched, and I
Mm-hmm.
would be turning the heat down, turning the fan on in the bedroom. And my poor husband's like, it's freezing. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm so hot. And I didn't, it took me like, I think like 5 days before I actually realized it was a symptom of postpartum. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know that night sweats were a thing. And of course, like with that comes, like the different smells of your body that you're not used to postpartum, like milk, everything smells like spoiled milk from breastfeeding.
Everything.
Yeah, like even things that came out of the washer, I'm like, does this still smell like milk? Am I crazy? Do you smell it? My husband's like, no, I think that's clean. Um, but yeah, just like adjusting to that and like my clothes, like not like trying to figure out what you're gonna wear. Like this is
Nothing.
too tight, but like your pregnancy clothes are like too big, and you're kind of like in this weird in between where you're like, I'm not gonna go out and buy clothes for this time period.
No.
Like, what do I wear? What am I comfortable in? And I was like, I've never breastfed before. I was a first time mom. So, like, that took so long to adjust and get comfortable to figure out. So, like, what shirt am I going to wear that I can do this easily? Because I'm still trying to figure it out.
I'm not gonna lie. If I'm home, I am not wearing a bra. I'm wearing probably a crop top because it's easier for me to just pop them babies out. But that had been hard because you probably had so many people coming in and out of your house. So
Yeah.
you did you like feel uncomfortable nursing in front of people?
Yeah. Well, so she didn't latch on her own. I had to use a nipple shield for like the
Yep.
first months. So it's not like I could just like latch her and go. It was like I had to get the nipple shield down, put it on, and make sure it was placed right. So it was like a process. Like I couldn't just put her under a blanket. I had to see what I was doing. And it was like it was awkward. And it was awkward for me, awkward for her to try to get her figured out while still trying to like hold this blanket and not like flash everybody. And
Yep.
I didn't have like too many people. Like they were respectful. Like I just have a really big family, immediate family. Like I have a
Yeah.
lot of aunts and uncles and stuff. Um, but the only like boundary we did have was people wore masks, which was nice because like if I had to feed or something, they would go into another room and like kind of take their mask off and have like a mask break while I fed.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, so that way I was able to kind of figure it out, or I would go to my bedroom and do it. But yeah, I couldn't do it around people the first couple of weeks. It was just didn't have enough hands to figure it out.
No. And especially I used a nipple shield for a little while too, so I know exactly how it is. Is you have to get that stupid little thing on just right because
If
if you
it's not
don't,
lined up,
they're not gonna get anything out.
and it's probably going to hurt you or they're going to get frustrated. And yeah,
Are you still breastfeeding now?
yeah, I am.
Yeah. Do you feel more confident now?
Oh yeah, definitely. 9 months in and I'm finally like, oh, I can do this.
You're just like, yep, whip that baby out. Here we go.
Yep, so much easier now. Like I just put the blanket over and I can do it all without looking. Before it was not like that at all.
I don't even wear a blanket anymore because I wear like stuff, like big chunky things that if I can just put him like I can literally just take him and put him under and just pull it out. And it's so much easier because I don't have to bring that stupid blanket. I can just take it and pop it out. But you're right, it came with time. It
My
didn't happen
daughter's
overnight.
she is so nosy. Like she has any sound or movement around us, she's got to stop and like peek out and see what's going on out there. So I have like I do the shirt sometimes, depending where I am, but like that
Yeah.
blanket is my saving grace to like grab every time she's like, what's going on out there?
So you got the sweats, the emotions. Did you have any like depression or anxiety?
I think I had anxiety. I did like
Yeah.
so like they don't set up that first check-in until 6 months or 6 weeks, sorry. The 6 week check-in. And I actually made an appointment before my 6 week because first of all, I thought I was like bleeding for too long. Like
Oh,
I wasn't sure. And then I also just like was like, I think I have the anxiety. Like I didn't think I had the depression, but I was so like there were nights where I would stay up until like I would get sad knowing it was nighttime and I was gonna have to put her in her bassinet to sleep. And I would stay awake and just like watch her. Like, is she breathing? Is she okay? Like keeping track of the time. Does she need to eat again? Like I would just stress myself out so much. And I know like a lot of that's normal in the beginning. Like the first couple nights you don't sleep, you just you're just watching them and making sure they're okay. But mine lasted like like over 2 months, like maybe 3 months. I was just like constantly keeping myself up till like 2, 3 in the morning, watching her and making sure she was okay and that she was like feeding. And I exhausted
mhm.
myself. It wasn't even her, it was me keeping myself up.
Did you have like the freak outs of, oh my God, they're not breathing. I need to go make sure they're not breathing. They're actually breathing.
Yeah. And so we have like the owlet monitor on her foot. And even with that, I have like the bassinet that was like a side by side. So it went right up
Yeah.
against my bed. So I would just lay there and stare at her, like to make sure I could see her chest moving or like that she was okay.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I definitely had some postpartum anxiety. And I also like the first couple of weeks when I was home, I was so scared for like my husband to leave the house. Like I was just like so scared that something was gonna happen to us.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you had that too, but like I was like I didn't want him to leave. I was so worried about keeping everyone okay and our well-beings. Like my anxiety was just definitely heightened.
I don't feel like the anxiety is talked about as much as the depression.
Yeah.
The more I've talked to like moms in our generation who are moms now, not like our generation age, but like our generation now, a lot of moms get the anxiety piece of postpartum and not really the depression spot where like when I think of before, now I know it's different. Before, when I was like thinking about postpartum and before I did like research, I always thought that postpartum was being really depressed and not bonding with your baby. Little did I know that it's also anxiety of not wanting to leave your baby and thinking something bad's going to happen to your baby and thinking something bad's going to happen in general. And it's not talked about.
Yeah, it's really not like you said, I've heard about like the depression and the not bonding, but mine was the opposite. Like I loved this baby so much. I was like terrified of something bad happening to her or to my husband and what were we gonna do? And like I just never wanted
Mm-hmm.
anyone to leave the house.
I remember so many times, like Jimmy and I would be sitting, my boyfriend Jimmy and I would be sitting on the couch, like watching a movie, which we're not even really watching. We're just kind of sitting there at this point. But we're watching a movie, and I kept being like, I don't think he's breathing. Go check to see if he's breathing. And he would always sit there and be like, no, he's fine. He's fine. I'm like, nope, just go check his breathing. This poor man would have to get up all of the time to go check his breathing because I know if I went in there, I would just pick him up and hold him and not put him back down. But
Yeah.
there's still some nights, I don't know about you, he's 6.5 months, and there's still some nights where I'm like, is he still breathing? Because now he does this new thing where he's laying on his stomach and snuggles like this. Like,
Mhm.
dude, stop. You're gonna make me go crazy. How are you breathing?
So I finally like was sleeping fine and then she started sleeping on her stomach. And when she first would roll on her stomach, she'd be like face down on the mattress.
Yes.
And I'm like, tilt your head, tilt your head. And I would sit there and stare at her, like, please tilt your head. And I roll her back over. And the pediatrician was like, it's fine. Like, if she can get herself into that position, she can get herself out at this point. Like, she wasn't swaddled with her arms in anymore or anything. But
Yep.
I was like, are you sure? Like, it does. It keeps you, like, even now, like, I remember like when she was first home, like every time my husband would get up to like go to the bathroom or get a drink or something, I'm like, can you just like check on her on your way by? Can you just make sure she's breathing on your way by? And even now, like she's 9 months old, and if she's like napping without her outlet on somewhere, I'm like, can you just like peek on her? I really am. I was really glad to have it when we came home from the hospital. It was like my peace of mind where I was like, if you do fall asleep, it's okay. This will beep. Like that was how I
It'll
could.
go off and tell you.
Yeah.
Moving on. What else?
Um, like one thing of advice that someone gave me when I was postpartum was to join these Facebook groups. Like, I don't know if you're in some of these. I'm in like a breastfeeding mamas group and just
Hmm.
like some other new mom groups. And I joined some of them during my pregnancy and they are so helpful. Like sometimes like first of all, there's never a stupid question, but if you're ever like, I don't like I want to ask this, but like maybe you don't have someone in your life that you're close enough to ask them or you're like embarrassed to
Yeah.
ask this group, search it because someone probably already asked it. Like search the
Or also, I feel like you don't want to ask someone because you don't want their opinion. And
yeah,
it's not that they're doing anything wrong, it's just you wouldn't do it the way that they do it and what they choose to do. So I think those groups are really nice, like you said, because then you can find someone who might give you like the advice. You're like, oh gosh, okay, that is something that I actually would try or want to try.
yeah. They give a lot of like recommendations or like, is this normal? Like, of course, it
Mm-hmm.
has to get checked by your doctor if you're not sure, but it also can give you peace of mind when your doctor's office is closed to like get through till the morning when you want to call or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are the three things that you would like to tell moms regarding postpartum or just in general that you didn't know that you wish you had known?
Um, well, one thing would be your routine doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Like my daughter stayed up, like I felt like I needed to know, like she needed to have a kid's bedtime, like right off the
Yeah.
bat, and they don't. Like she's now that she's 9 months, she goes to bed around like 8:30, and that's great. But the first couple of months, like she was up till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and that was just her awake window, and there was no changing that off the bat, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And our routine, my husband didn't we didn't switch on and off during the night because I was breastfeeding. So he would sleep all night and then he would take her in the morning so that I could sleep until her next feeding. And a lot of people would always be like, "Oh, make sure you're taking turns," but that didn't work for us at night. So
Yeah.
your routine doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Find the routine that works for you, and if that's what works, stick with it. My other thing would be set your boundaries. Even if you get pushback, I had pushback, like I said earlier, about people wearing masks, but that was something that I saw as super important around my baby, especially during flu and RSV season. So set your boundaries, and if you get pushback, but you're making the right choice for your family if that's what you think. Um, and the third thing I think would be like don't be afraid to ask for help. It's I wish I knew like that like in the first couple weeks home, like it's okay to ask these questions. It's okay to ask for help and it's okay to ask someone to come over and just like sit with you. Even if you don't ask them to hold the baby, just to keep you company. Maybe you need someone to talk to or vent to.
Mm-hmm. I think I like your last, I mean, I like all of them, but your last one is so perfect because I think that's the hardest thing is it's almost like you don't want to admit that you need help because you are a first time mom. It's like, I don't want to admit that I need help because I don't want people to think that I can't be a mom. I don't want to be a mom and that I'm a bad mom. But that's not the case at all. Like, you're a first time mom, you're dealing with all of these emotions. And again, I think this is something that I talk about in every episode loss of identity. Like, you don't know who you are. You're
Yeah.
trying to figure out who you are on top of all of these emotions that are literally all over the place. So everything changes. And having someone, like you said, to just come over and talk to be like, am I crazy? And then to be like, nope, nope, you're not. That's normal. It's okay. Like, what you're dealing with is fine. You need to.
Sometimes you would get like stir crazy. Like you don't want to go out anywhere with this brand new baby, but you're also like been in this house for weeks staring at the wall. Like, and it's nice to just like have that adult company sometimes too. Like my husband was home the first 2 weeks, but then he went back to work because I wanted him to save his leave for when I went back to work. So it was like sometimes you got lonely and you wanted someone to come sit with
Mm-hmm.
you just to talk during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just want to like vent, like, oh, we didn't get any sleep last night, or, like you just want to say it out loud.
Mm-hmm. Or like, it's nice to have like that safe space. My boyfriend's phenomenal. He's great. Sometimes I need to vent about him because it's a jealousy factor of being like the default parent is I'm mad that you can do certain things. It doesn't mean I don't love you and that you're not a great dad, but having a mom who understands that and still respects your spouse is so important too, because you're right, sometimes you need to just vent about them because you're waking up all night feeding the baby. He gets to sleep in, so it's like he got so much sleep and now he's complaining he's tired. Like he probably is because he does it too, just in a different way.
Definitely. Especially with my husband, like going back to work, I was like, but I'm home all the time, like, but like obviously he wanted to be home with her too. And I'm extremely grateful that he went back to work because we needed that. But it's like the emotions, you're just trying to balance like how much your life is changing versus them, like you said, the the things you're taking on and doing that you're not seeing a change in their routine. Oh, they're still getting up and going to work and I'm doing this and that, but it's like you can't I couldn't compare because I'm grateful that I wasn't going to work like he was.
It is definitely hard, and I think it's not fair to them for us to feel that way about them, but I also feel like it's totally normal and that it's understandable on our parts. I do think it's sometimes selfish for them because they, like you said, they're going to work, they're doing things, and they're providing, and they're doing different stuff. So it's not like they're not doing anything. And if they had the choice, they would probably stay with us too. But the world doesn't work like that. So unfortunately,
Would be
we're
nice.
not like all these other countries where you get to have so much time with your baby.
Yeah, like months on end.
Like, could you imagine? What is wrong with us? Why are we not doing that? I think, I think that would eliminate a lot of postpartum anxiety and depression. Is both parents staying home because it's a lot for both parents, but especially moms who have all those emotions. I think that if a dad were to be able to stay home for a little bit longer to help that mom out, she probably would not have as much anxiety and depression.
Yeah,
Just saying. All right. Is there anything else that you think that you want to add before we close out?
I don't think so. I think that's it. Just go easy on yourselves, mamas. If you're postpartum, it will get easier, and whatever you're going through is probably completely normal. And even if it doesn't seem like it, someone else is probably going through the exact same thing.
As Samantha said, please reach out. Like, don't be alone. There's so many people out there. Send me a DM, let me know, and we're here for you. You're not alone. All right. I'm the only one who drank this whole time, but cheers. You can have a sip now. I have the same exact coffee cup.
Oh, do you? Target, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure was Target. Thank you, Samantha, so much for joining. It was a pleasure having you on and taking the time to talk about your postpartum journey and sharing with us your tips and how real anxiety can be during postpartum.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to talk and vent with someone, a mom who totally gets it.
No problem. I was always here for you. All right. So, guys, if you liked this episode, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button so that way you get notifications about the next episode that's coming up. And if you want to follow my TikTok, because we're no longer banned, but if you want to follow my TikTok, my Instagram, or my Facebook for daily reels, tips and tricks, also just kind of me being an overstimulated mom and not a bougie aesthetic mom, follow. Here's my links for both of them here. TikTok is a little bit different, so I'm going to put my TikTok right here. And if you want to be on the show, I love having any different mom on here, any walks of the realm. It's really important for other moms to hear other stories and to see if they can connect with somebody else. So please send me a DM, a comment, or just let me know if you want to be on the show. And as always, moms, I hope you're surviving and thriving because as moms, that's what we do. Bye, besties.